In view of the above, we project that the public debt will hit 355 billion Ghana cedis by the end of December 2021, representing 82% of GDP, which is the highest since EPIC. Again, the budget indicated that the situation will worsen in the year 2022, as the public debt will reach 426 billion at the end of the year 2022, representing 85% of GDP. Based on the trend, we in the minority concur with Fitch recent projections that the general government debt to GDP is going to rise up to 90% by the year 2023. Honorable members and colleagues from the media, let me also say that one major item of concern to most Ghanaians has to do with the hardships and high cost of living. Ghanaians are currently going through unbearable hardships, pains, and suffering due to the mismanagement of this economy. The hardship stems directly from rising cost of living, constant increases in prices of basic items, fuel price increases, and excessive taxation. By way of a reminder, the following taxes and levies have been imposed by the Bawumia-led economic management team since the year 2017 to the year 2021. A clear promise to reduce taxation during the 2016 election campaign has indeed failed. But let me start by calling out some of these taxes that they have actually imposed on the ordinary Ghanaian. Number one, we recall that they increased VAT by 5%. This happened when they decoupled the National Health Insurance and the Get Fund levies. They also introduced what we call the luxury tax levy. They introduced a 3% VAT flat rate. They introduced sanitation tax. Apart from that, they also introduced 5% National Fiscal Stabilization Levy, which should have expired in December 2017, but was extended indefinitely, making it a new tax. Moreover, we saw this government introducing 2% component of special import levy, which was extended beyond the year 2017 sunset clause. They increased the energy sector levies by 30% and extended it for another 15 years. Again, they increased communication service tax by 50%. They did not stop there. They imposed what we call the financial sector levy of 5% on all banks. They introduced what we call the price stabilization recovery levy on fuels by 40%. And again, they actually increased the UPPF levy by 167%, also from 2017 to the year 2016, to the year 2021. Colleagues, let me say that makes it 14. But that was not the end. This government introduced the boss margin and increased it by 3 pesos to 9 pesos, representing 200% increase. And then number 15, the fuel marking levy has also been increased by another 233%. Together with other non-tax revenue sources, the government has received an amount of 249.3 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue alone from January 2017 to September 2021, added to 221 billion in debt additions, in debt that they have borrowed. Let me say that this government has over 461 billion at its disposal. But unfortunately, these resources has been squandered on misguided consumption expenditure, especially in the 2020 election year, creating a huge hole in our finances. In a desperate bid to plug this hole, it is sad to know that the Bawumia-led economic management team has sought to impose more suffering and pain on the ordinary Ghanaian by punishing them with additional devastating taxes and other fiscal measures in the budget. This has aimed at raising additional tax of 15 billion Ghana cedis. In fact, it will surprise you to note that from the evidence presented to us in the budget statement, this government is increasing tax revenue by 25 billion Ghana cedis in one single year. Among others, this government has done a catastrophic reversal of the populist benchmark values discount despite loud protestations from the sector players, importers, and other Ghanaian public. The reversal of the benchmark values discount will immediately result in 25 to 30% increase in the prices of essential imported commodities, which will make life almost impossible to live for millions of Ghanaian households. This Christmas, ladies and gentlemen, will go down as the most bitter and painful for Ghanaians, as they will struggle to put food on the table for their families due to the draconian fiscal and tax policies that has been introduced by the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government. Let me say that all these justifications by the Vice President the justifications given to us by the Vice President that the discount is going to increase the port volumes has proven to be a propaganda and cheap politicking. He has completely failed Ghanaians with his misleading claim on the economy. It is with this note that at this point I will announce some of the tax measures that we have seen in the budget. As it was not enough, the following taxes has been imposed on Ghanaians in the year 2022. First, we are hearing that they are going to introduce the electronic transaction levy, affecting mobile money taxes, mobile money transactions, and bank transfers, and an inflows in remittance. So simply put, what this government seeks to do is that from January 2021, January 2022, every single remittance from anybody living abroad to your mother, to your father, and for the purposes of your investment is going to attract taxes from this administration. We think this is not acceptable, and we will advise ourselves when the time comes. Again, we are seeing that they are going to introduce a special tax on mobile money. We have served notice through our minority leader that the minority caucus of Ghana's parliament will stand by Ghanaian, the ordinary Ghanaian, in opposing this Momo tax. Let me also say that we have seen a 15% increase in all government fees and charges, and we think that that is a bit too much, and the government may need to think about it. These new tax measures will bring great suffering to Ghanaians who have already been choked with taxes. The electronic transaction levy will not only increase the hardships, but will significantly compromise inward remittance, which is relied upon heavily by many Ghanaian households. We wish to assure the people of Ghana that we will vigorously oppose the killer taxes and will ensure that any one of them that will adversely affect the lifestyle of Ghanaians will be rejected. Ladies and gentlemen, at this point, let me talk about the depreciating Ghana cedi and the rising unemployment. First, depreciating Ghana cedis. After what has proven to be the empty assurance by our Vice President that the cedi has been arrested and the keys has been given to the IGP for safekeeping, it is unfortunate that today Ghana cedi has recorded massive depreciation to the extent that the cedi is trading at 6 cedis 35 pesos from the 3 cedis 90 pesos that they inherited in the year 2017. We have also seen that the pound sterling has also depreciated to 8 cedis 46 pesos. And then we've seen the euro depreciating to 7 cedis 28 pesos. On the issue of unemployment, which is a major issue confronting millions of Ghanaians, especially the youth in this country. It is sad to note that this government has not presented to us any major measure in the budget that would deal with the youth unemployment situation. All what we have seen in the budget statement indeed is empty sloganeering, to the extent that they are not telling us exactly what they are trying to do. So we, the members of the minority, wish to state that going forward, we are going to ensure that this budget indeed provide some hope to the Ghanaian youth in terms of job creation. To conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say that we have seen huge arrest accumulation. Unfortunately, what is in the budget alone talks about the fact that they are going to pay only 1.9 billion Ghana cedis in tax in arrest. We are aware that government owes arrest of about 30 billion Ghana cedis. 30 billion Ghana cedis. Yet they had only apportioned 1.9 billion Ghana cedis in the budget for the purposes of arrest payment. We have also seen that there was a huge wastage in public resources. The office of the president alone, the office of government machinery, we have seen an amount allocated to the office of the president representing 3 billion Ghana cedis as expenditure to be spent at the office of the president. Let us serve this warning that we in the minority insist that going forward we will demand breakdown of this expenditure. We are also serving notice that until the minister responsible for national security appears before us to answer the question relating to the president's travel with private jet, the office of the president's budget will not be approved by us. And then to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, let me do this summation. We in the minority had hoped that the terrible state of the economy will compel this government to propose policies in the budget that addresses the most pressing concerns of unsustainable debt, hardships, high cost of living, fiscal indiscipline, unemployment, arrest clearance, and misuse of public resources. To our surprise, and the people of Ghana's surprise, the Akufo-Addo Bawumia government has failed to show that they have no solution. They have solutions to these problems in this budget. This budget is not responsive to the most important issues affecting the people of Ghana. The people of Ghana have been left entirely to their fate and have to brace themselves for even more severe hardships this Christmas, going into this Christmas and the new year. Unemployment is expected to rise. Our debt to GDP is also expected to rise. The debt levels are also expected to rise, and we expect that the investor confidence will continue to be eroded. In these circumstances, it is obvious that the review budget will be required to correct the serious imbalances and distortions that this budget will create. Again, by every indications, this budget will worsen the plight of the ordinary Ghanaian and drive them into hardships, suffering, pains, and poverty. We call on our Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, to walk his lofty talk in opposition and clean up the mess he has created in the Ghanaian economy to ensure that an immediate end is brought to the hardships and suffering of our people. We must admit that these policies has failed, and his policies has failed, and the Ghanaian economy is in deep crisis. We in the NDC will ensure that we do what is required of us by ensuring that every single policy in this budget is actually investigated for us to be able to see its impact on the ordinary Ghanaian before we will consider approving the budget or not. Thank you very much.
No, let me just add a few questions. Thank you very much, ranking member, colleagues, friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen. The Honorable Ranking Member for Finance, Honorable Ato Fortune, has elaborated on some of the concerns that we have ahead of the debate on the budget. But let me highlight a few things that I want to let you know. You know, when Bawumia get excited about something, I told you that there was not a free lunch when he was talking about digitization. I knew that this digitization was going to end up in Bawumia pickpocketing. Today, as you are here working, immediately your money gets into the bank. Unless you go to the bank to withdraw the money in cash, any attempt to spend that money through any electronic means, whether you are transferring directly to somebody, you are transferring to your Momo wallet, you are paying out your grandmother in the village, Baumia is waiting to take his share before you spend that money. And yet you have paid taxes on that income. So you are paying double taxes because your income is taxed. The money that they now give to you as your net salary is also taxed if you spend the money by any electronic means. So what it definitely means is that we have reversed the electronic platform that we are creating by over 25 years. I will always go to the bank and withdraw my money, so I don't pay that money. It is the same way you are likely not to be using your platforms to spend your money, but will be queuing at the bank because you want to avoid double taxation of the same money that you pay the taxes on. The other challenge is that if you bought an item and there was a VAT component on it, which is a tax, and you decided to pay the person by a bank transfer or by electronic means, you will pay tax again on the VAT. I mean, I can't imagine this level of insensitivity. And we are doing this at a time that we say COVID has ruffled our people. You recall when the vice president said that when the economy is not performing and you decide to raise money by imposing taxes, you go into a downward cyclical what? Spiral. So this is how will you call it? We were growing at 3.4 and it was a downward cyclical spiral. Now you are growing at 0.4. This is a downward one. And yet we are imposing these taxes. I want to tell the people of Ghana that if you observe, any time MPP is bringing a bitter pill for you to swallow, they find a sweetener. When they came and said they were moving from taxation to production, we have seen almost 19 taxes. When they came to us and said, Ejumapa, people became unemployed. When they came here and said, the year of rose, they budgeted for only 2 billion, which was less than $400 million. Only yesterday, they laid a commercial agreement to construct just Pedwasi, Manfi to Koforudia, 150 million euros. Then you give the whole country $400 million and you are shouting year of rose. So you see today when they brought this bitter pill, you see what they have done. This is a government that is so insensitive that it keeps exploiting the vulnerabilities of Ghanaians for political gain. They know we are unemployed, so they come and sing a lot of praises about how they are going to create jobs. You start and all of that. How did NAPCO end? How did all those lofty ideas end? We were here when Abosokan people were dancing there. Today go there, are they dancing? So these are people who keep exploiting our vulnerabilities in order to throw a bitter pill down our throat. Today, we were told that you are going to have 1 million per constituency. They came and changed the name and call it the Infrastructure for Poverty Reduction or Alleviation, isn't it? And set up 3 development authorities to change the face of development. Today, what has happened? In the budget, they said after this year, they will let them complete their projects, and after that, this PEF is dead. So those 3 development authorities that we wasted money on, the question is what will happen. And so I just want to encourage Ghanaians to understand that going forward, when these people tell you they are bringing good things, look at how much they are taking from your pocket. And we have already told you they are taking about 25 billion from your very poor pockets that are raveled by COVID-19. And that is an insensitive government. Thank you very much.
Just a quick one. Ladies and gentlemen, let me make it clear. Let me make it clear that the minority will not support any tax measures that would impoverish the ordinary Ghanaian. If you want to tax Momo, you want to tax remittances, you want to deceive the people of Ghana by telling them not to pay road tolls, but to go to DVLA and pay that same amount. The minority in parliament stands with the people of Ghana. We will do whatever it takes to ensure that the already impoverished Ghanaian, the Ghanaian who is suffering under excruciating inflation, will not be affected. And we'll do everything possible to ensure that that is done. Minianum, the English speaking, the Minianum, Niaye can say, Sa budgeti at the Ohau, at the Oyene, at the Ahuchre, and Ebre Ghana for finance minister episode increase taxes no sika ye free eto so no from 55 billion to 80 billion na ekyerese your taxes increase by 45%. Yen don kuma no ye ne Ghana fo yen ntumu ne yen ntumu china say wo send memo aye friend mobile money e ma wonana a wote akurasi a finance minister Kenofori Atani Akufo-Addo ene Dr. Bawumia se omo gi sa esika ne bi se wo amanone na wo sani sika kakra bi kura ba se yemfa moa efia aban we MPP aban se omo gi sa esika ne bi yanyi ntumu ne yanyi ntumu china nti ye ne mo ebeye adwuma na ya wiata so se sa taxes you know something will be done about it ye damasi bebre. Go and call them.
Well, we're sure that the majority might also speak with the press. If they do, we'll get to it. But it's still the Jumapa budget. Sorry, Ajimpa, no Ajimpa.
Okay.
Ajimpa. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. So the debates obviously have started. Doc, you were making a point on someone actually sent something. I think allow me to capture what the person was saying about
digitization.
Yes. Why? I mean, then what would be the purpose of digitization?
Exactly.
So he says.
All right, let me take this. You know, that means that
okay,
if
you
have
take
an
that. So I
amount
look for the
200 Ghana cedis, and your child on average is 1%, which is
1.75.
two cedis.
1.75.
Exactly, by the provider. So does that mean that the levy that is being charged, which is approximately 1.7%, will literally mean that just your Momo transaction, you are paying 2.75%
Yes.
as a charge?
Yes.
Correct. As it stands.
That's the reality.
And then
But yet
they
we
will
are on the path of digitalizing our system. And with this beginning, that does not necessarily affect our drive.
Counterproductive. Absolutely. You see,
someone actually says Adrian phone budget. So this is an importer. You should know him. Hail him, shippers.
Okay.
Kwesi.
Yeah. Kwesi, yeah.
In fact, if I forget his name, he won't talk to me again.
You too.
I will remember.
It's okay.
Please don't hold it against me. But hail him, shippers. He says that it's Adrian phone budget. So well, that's his opinion. Thank you, Great Sipo. So that's.
He said what is the budget?
Said that then it's Adrian budget, but he says it's Adrian.
Adrian
He's giving me the option.
It should have said Adrian Bone, but Adrian Food, I don't watch it.
I want to tell you how.
No, say because the minister is telling us that because
I think the majority are speaking to the question, and let's get the majority side of what they had to say.
We know the practice of the convention, but clearly this distinguishes the majority caucus from the minority caucus. The last time I saw witness, when we were holding a press conference related to tidal waves, they barged in. Today, under extreme provocation, we kept our cool. I want to put on record, this is not right. The dean of the press corps, you have to sit up. Otherwise, you create a different impression. Anyway, we have to set a few things straight and put matters in context. So I have the honor to invite Honorable Akpejo Marke, the veritable deputy minister, deputy majority leader, to speak on behalf of the majority caucus. I thank you.
So good afternoon to all of you. The majority caucus has received the 2022 budget with joy. Our bases are well-founded. The minister took us through the crisis situation, the interventions made, and the promises for the future. First, for the records, the Honorable Finance Minister, through his presentation, told Ghanaians that 38,000 nurses were employed within the period under review. 36.8 million tax exemptions to frontline health workers. And for emphasis, no public sector worker was laid off. Other jurisdictions are experiencing situations where public sector workers are being laid off, delay in salaries. But in Ghana, no single public sector worker was laid off as a result of the COVID. No salary delays. Government made sure that in spite of the difficulties, all public sector workers were paid and on time. All allowances, all salaries due them per the minister's submission before the House have been paid and duly paid. Now, to the informal sector, they were hard hit, and the minister, per the records available, through first the Coronavirus Alleviation Program Business Support Scheme, 523 million loans were given to individuals and entities in the informal sector. So in all, 302,001 entities benefited from this 523 million soft loans to support their business. These facilities, I would describe them as grants because no interest is to be paid. Now, in all of these, the minister assures Ghanaians that all flagship programs of the government will be maintained. Meanwhile, per the records, revenue dropped by 11.93 billion, whereas expenditure increased by 14 billion. This is indeed a caring government. In all of this, the minister was mindful of the suffering of our fisher folks. And as you may be well aware, the NDC government took a facility, the CBD loan from China, and of the list of items to be used for included the London Beach project. In all, government has demonstrated a commitment in ensuring that all the 14 London Beach projects are being constructed. Meanwhile, the NDC government took a facility in 2012. For the 8 years that they were in office, they could only come back to Parliament in 2015 to do capping, which capping removed that aspect of the funding for the fisher folks. Under MPP government, artisanal fishing is being given a boost, and all the problems of our fisher folks, especially when we have tidal waves at our shores, at our coastlines, are being resolved, are being mitigated through the construction of fishing landing sites, and is there 14 communities benefiting. Now, government says that we all have to spread the costs. We have to look at ways of generating revenue from within so that we can construct our roads, maintain our roads, pay our road contractors. I am a chairman of the Ghana Road Fund Board, and I know the problems of our contractors. Inconsistency in payment. They are overburdened. Now, government says it is levying this 1.75% on Momo. That is the electronic levy, to achieve two major things. One, to make funds available for our contractors to be paid regularly so that they can go back to site, so that more roads can be constructed and maintained. That two, the major boost for private sector, which is the Youth Entrepreneurship Support Program. Now, government is introducing a program where our youth at the various districts, small scale, can have up to 10,000. And if they are graduates who have their startups and want expansion, they can have up to 50,000. And where they are a medium scale, they have between 100 and 500,000. The good news is that government is guiding this investment into the private sector by channeling this through the private financial institutions. So it's not going to be goodies from government, but companies that are properly registered and have gone through training, these individuals will be encouraged to register with the banks, and through that, the banks will take them through the process of giving them that financial support. This will be a concessionary facility, and I believe that it will bring a lot of relief. So like my colleagues are saying, Obia Sabeka Nede, Obia Benye Biedi, Obia Benya Humfaswo. Every Ghanaian will have an equal opportunity to get support, so that those at that level of informal sector, those who are chasing for formal sector jobs, can unearth their potential and make sure that the little that they can explore, there is that support to do it. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by saying that government has demonstrated competence in its ability to manage the situation at hand. In the midst of this COVID, government has not given up. Our friends in opposition were expecting a doomsday budget, but this budget has given us hope. If you look at the reliefs to the private sector, it's even beyond their own imagination. And the budget is calling on all Ghanaians to rally around and support government initiative. We need to get out of this. We will get out of this, but it is only through competence that we can get out of this. Indeed, our friends in the NDC cannot provide any alternative. They have not done so since this part government assumed office, and they can never do so even today. And I challenge them, if there's anything better they can do under this budget, or if they can do anything better in the circumstance we find ourselves as a country, I challenge them to immediately come up with their own solutions. But like we always know, they will proceed with political rhetorics without bringing solutions to Ghanaians. I thank you so much, and may God bless us all. No, someone will do that. Stephen will do that. And you are also here. Yes. You were behind me. Yeah. So you can take it up, and then the rest will take it up. So emphasize there.
So as they try to play emphasis on the explanation of the budget, we will also do the analysis here in the studio. When General Mosquito, when I said General Mosquito, the producers were laughing. I mean, why? It's not allowed.
I shouldn't get
Yes, come on, he himself
Alias.
was General Mosquito. So yeah, it was one striking comment he made for me, supporting the property rate. I think he lauded that, saying that was forward movement. But for the other taxation that is going to, what do you think of that? I mean, I'll
Yes, and back to our issue with the taxation. I think there was a perfect point raised during the break. That you see, the mobile money companies apply their charges. That is not tax. So you shouldn't expect that the mobile money charges were going to be taken away. So those charges already we are fighting for them to be taken away are still there. Because if you use the same platform, my understanding, I'm not an IT person, but my understanding is that as long as it's remain on the same telco platform, they don't really incur any charges. So there's no logic in charging transaction multiple times, but those ones will stay. In addition, government is now going to add their own 1.75. So you're now going to have almost 3%, 2.75 in mobile money transactions. Back to the property tax, we were talking about expectations, and I was very confident or comfortable that that is the right way to go. It's a wealth-based taxation. It's based on the value of your property. It's been generating substantial revenue across the world. And therefore, it makes sense at these critical times expanding the tax net, roping in more revenue. That is the perfect sector to look at.
How flourishing was that sector even within the COVID season? And before pre-COVID was the banking crisis. How flourishing was that sector?
The mobile
The,
money
the
or
property,
property tax. You see,
no, the property environment itself
the property.
or real estate.
Now I can
development. How
tell
flourishing
you,
was that?
Ghana is gradually booming on the real estate.
Okay.
Definitely, it is booming. And you see, we are not only targeting mortgaged properties, individual properties. What government is going to do is that they are going to have a standardized valuation. As it stands, there are some properties they haven't valued for 10, 20, 30 odd years. There are some that have never been valued at all. You'll be home and then you see people from the assembly come with a letter. That's if you're lucky. If you manage to have a fence wall with dogs in your house, chances are that nobody will come there. So you go to the point where they now want to use the digital property registration.
The digital code.
Yes, exactly. Use that to capture landlord details and ownership details. Now they're going to have a standardized valuation system across board, which means that the same property should attract the same rate regardless of which tax officer comes around, which is something we've been lacking. To me, if I will talk of the best tax policy measure in this whole budget, that would be my number one pick. It's long overdue. It's a guaranteed and a sustained way of raising revenue. Compared to the mobile money tax, that is so counterproductive. We want to digitize. We want more people to go cashless. But by introducing more taxes, what people are going to do is that they're going to pay by cash. People are now going to put money under their pillows.
We will now revert to the cash system instead
Exactly.
of the
We're going to have
cashless.
more cash in the system. How is that going to help with business growth and the digitization agenda? I'd rather go in the bank, queue for hours, loss of valuable time, take as chunk of the money as I can. In that case, you're not even helping the banks because savings is likely to be affected. Because if I'm busy, I can't go to the bank all the time. I'll go once in a while, withdraw maybe half or 90% of my salary, put it in my drawer and be using it as and when. Are we really helping putting money into the economy?
Doc, I wanted to speak to this. You know, in September, the Bank of Ghana released a statement concerning the financial state of 23 banks in Ghana. And as of in this 8th month of 2021, it has been reported that 1.37 billion Ghana cedis has been written off as bad debt in the records of banks. What does it say to the projection that was made by the finance minister as in the state of the financial institutions?
So that again brings a challenge of non-performing loans. And it also has to do with data. Digitization, to me, as I said, is the right way to go in tackling this situation. If you can have a proper digitized system where everybody knows where everybody lives, credit referencing agencies will be able to work proper. So when you go for credit, it's registered against your name. So if I take 1,000 Ghana from Bank A, when I go to Bank B to go and borrow, they will reference and they'll get to know that, oh, you already owe Bank B some money.
Oh, you paid off.
Exactly. And because of the digitized address system, it's easy for them to track me. I can't run anywhere. As it stands, I can go, maybe the time when we used to have multiple passports, I can go and have different ID, go to Bank A, borrow, as Kwesi Manu. The next day I'll disappear. You never track me anywhere because you don't know my address. So the non-performing loans will keep rising until you get at the bottom of the digitized system, where people are able to be, where you're able to account for people, their location, their activities, their incomes and outgoings. In that case, you have a solution of overcoming some of those non-performing charges, which was obviously one of the main causes of most of the banks which went out of business. People were just not paying the loans.
Let me have Mr. Paddy come in.
I think
Before you speak, there's one thing that strikes me. Government is engaged in a lot of wastage. And government is highly being very unfair to the people.
Exactly.
So government, we engage in a lot of capital intensive projects. And in the long run, sometimes we abandon them. Sometimes we just don't even know what to do with the projects that we put up. Sometimes the revenue is generated, we lose it to corruption. And then in the end, we are lacking. I said earlier when we were watching Parliament that 80% of the people, 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 80 I don't think we have a problem if we pay taxes.
But what are the taxes used for?
But what
Can
are
we
we
see?
using it for?
If you look at what
It
the
gets-
Auditor General report even states, if we are able to just follow the recommendations
Yes.
in the Auditor General's report, I can bet you that we will not even need to tax
and implement our policies effectively.
And some of the infrastructures that we're even building can pay for itself. But we abandon them, so we need to in fact, this budget, we need to interrogate it very well. And like Doc was saying, I think one of the areas I want us to look at, why are people defaulting in loans? We have to consider that factor too. Because if you give someone a loan facility or an interest or higher interest rate, it will be difficult for the person to pay. So we should have to look at that. Yes, these are some of the reasons why we have the default. You see, because if the person needs it badly, so he doesn't care how much interest you are giving him, then he goes for it. He started paying, then he finds it difficult to pay. At times they even pay more than what they have collected. So all the default are even some are the interests on it, but the actual money they have paid, but they keep on paying the interest over a period of time. So I'm tired. I know a woman say, you know what a woman to Chama, my bread. I'm tired. So we have to interrogate those areas too. Are the credits affordable?
So-
Is it cheap that people can afford to pay? I don't think no businessman will intentionally go for a facility and say, I want to default in the name of default. But there are circumstances they find themselves that the interest rate is extremely on the higher side. So we need to interrogate those areas. But the finance minister said something that we need to very into. He said they are going to train about 150,000 bankers from the banking training school. Now, so I was asking myself,
Graduates, right?
I was asking myself, what of those who lost their business,
jobs.
their jobs during the cleanup time? Where are they? Have they found themselves somewhere in the employment scheme? So we need to look at it. But my interest is on the benchmark.
The benchmark. Well, before we'll
My
get to
interest
the
is
benchmark.
so Andy, help me
yes.
to
To understand.
Let's
I'll let
Okay.
you. But Professor Gachi is on Zoom, and he's a dean of University of Cape Coast Business School. He's joined us via Zoom. Prof, thank you so much for joining us. So I'm sure you went through the budget process with us. What exactly do you have to say about it? What's the first comment you want to say about it before we go on with other questions? Hello, Prof.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, Prof. Kindly sit up a bit because we're finding it difficult to see you. Okay, great. Thank you. So you went through the budget. What exactly do you want to say about it?
Well, there are a lot to discuss about the budget. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, please.
Yeah. So we have a lot to discuss about the budget. You could see clearly that the budget is focused on raising extra revenue and trying to portray that we are doing something to reduce the burden of the people and try to put in place some policy measure to deal with unemployment and create environment for job creation. These are the main issues that have been tackled. But some of the policies are welcome. For example, even though it's not new in attempting to collect property tax, of course, property tax, when you read 2021 budget is there. When you read a past budget is there. The challenge is that we are not able to collect these taxes because of huge political implication. Now we want to use a new approach to target households and be able to get this property tax. It's an area that we need to exploit to get more revenue. So that is a welcome news. But my challenge is that this is not the first time we are raising the issue. So I don't know whether we'll implement the budget by focusing on dealing with this matter, or we'll just leave it as part of budget document that will not be implemented. Now, the second one that I want to point out is the is the fact that they have abolished tolls on all public roads.
Yeah.
And I was asking myself, what does it mean to say public roads? Are we really talking about all the roads that we see around? What is the essence of the removal of tolls on these roads? Because in financing these projects, I believe we have two aspects of financing public infrastructure. Some are revenue projects. That is to say that they have the ability to generate revenue to pay for the cost of building those roads over a period of time. Then part of the tolls that are collected will be used for maintenance purposes. So what is the essence of removing them? Is it the tolls that are causing increase in food prices? I myself, when I'm traveling from Accra to Aflao, for example, I have about 4 toll booths to cross, which means that I'm going to pay maximum of 4 cedis. Is the 4 cedis higher than the cost I incur in buying fuel? I don't think so. So
well, it might not necessarily be higher, but it eases the pressure on the cost in buying fuel. At least
but
you have
that
4
is not
cedis reduction.
Our problem with tolls is whether or not the money collected is being used to service the loans that are being used to construct the roads, and whether or not we are using the money to maintain our roads. You see some of the roads that we have tolls on, but just after crossing the toll booth, you realize that the roads are deplorable, which means that the monies that are collected are not being directed to do the things that those tolls are being put in place to do. I believe that is the critical reason why people complain about the tolls. It's the same thing that applies to taxation.
Right.
If I have an efficient public transport system where I buy a card at the beginning of the month, I can use it for all public transport within the city of Accra. And it's only at the end of the month that I think of buying something again. That is more efficient. When I move to a station, I know that but in the next 5 minutes or 20 minutes, my bus will come and I'll go to my destination. I don't care so much about the taxes I'm paying because there is value for the taxes. So this, I believe, when you relate the discussion to tolls, that is what we need to be discussing. But of course, in public finance and in taxation strategy, government put that on board, and people start clapping without assessing the real impact it will make on them. Then along the line, we are talking about taxation. So I think that's a strategy that the government has used, which I don't think will actually deal with the pertinent hardship issue that we're talking about. What will distort the whole issue now is the taxes that will be imposed on Momo and other electronic transactions. I believe the purpose of digitalization is to bring about efficiency and convenience, and at a cheaper cost. That is what we expect digitization to bring on board to us. But if the purpose of digitization is to create avenue for taxation, at least and within the shortest period of time, that also creates a challenge going forward in terms of the benefits from these transactions. So I believe these are some of the issues that I can highlight for now. Then there's something very precarious. When the minister projected the table for the distribution of taxes, contribution to taxes for the country, you realize that about 89% of the taxes we collect is coming from the Greater Accra region. Yeah. And if you take Kumasi being the second basket of economic activities. We are talking about just around 1.4% or 2.4% or so, which means the contribution of revenue from the Greater Accra region is about 87% higher than what is coming from Kumasi, Ashanti region and other region. What it means is that we are managing the economy such that economic activities are skewed towards Greater Accra region. We are not distributing economic activities, or we are not putting in policy to direct the traffic of economic activities outside the Greater Accra region. And
like the decentralizing economic activities, you mean?
Yes, that is a picture it depicts. So it's not merely about the volume of taxes coming from Greater Accra region. Bearing in mind that taxes are based on economic activities, then that tells us that we are doing something wrong. Mm-hmm. We have not put in place policies to attract businesses across the country and then have business density in some of the major regions that we have in the country.
Removing the tolls, the road tolls, and taxing of e-transactions, don't you think that maybe government may have done its own economic analysis, just to balance the situation, knowing that if I'm able to raise this revenue, this amount of revenue from e-transactions, maybe in the next 1 year, and this is what I also raise from road tolls, in balancing the equation, maybe my government thinks that when I remove this, it will be, I mean, it won't cost us any much because we can benefit from e-transactions, even though we have the situation of digitalizing the economy.
Yeah, in public finance strategy, that is what government do. So they do know that when they remove that, they will get some political capital, but they will direct whatever they would have been losing from the tolls, they will be getting it from the taxes and the other one that they have restored. So it is just a game that the government is playing with the people.
A game?
And of course, perhaps if you are also in their position, you may try to do some of these things. But the point is that, the point I was making is whether or not the tolls that we collect, which are supposed to be part of the services or the loans which were incurred to construct these roads, whether we will be in position to be paying them without any difficulty. In any case, in the past, it doesn't show that the other aspect of collecting the tolls is seen by the public in terms of the repairs on the roads, street light on those roads. We don't see those things. So if you feel that you will not be able to live to that expectation, you take it off, look at what you'll be gaining from the new one that you have introduced, and then you go. I believe that's what has been done.
You comment on the benchmark value removal, maybe before we come back into the studio.
Well, I think one thing that we should appreciate is that government is operating within a framework of desperation, with pressure in terms of revenue. Government need revenue so badly and government feel that restoring that will be much faster way of getting additional revenue to do its activities. And I don't see that the reason given by government is logical. I think that beyond the restoration and gaining revenue margins, we also need to look at the effect that it will have on price development in the country. Already, we reduced inflation from 15.4 in ending of 2016 down to around single digits of 7.4, but inflation is now around 11% as at end of October. So if you engage in policy reversal, that has a potential of contributing to upward price development, then it means that your quest contain inflation will be in trouble,
right,
and you will strengthen the hardship that the people are going through in terms of the purchase of those items. Some of those items, I consider them to be inelastic in demand by the public. So definitely people will buy them, even if there is a pass-through effect of those new duties that will be paid on the importation of those items, and then recalculation of their prices upwards. People will still buy them and government will get their revenue. But that is the calculation they have done. They should have gone beyond that and look at the implication for hardship and implication for inflation. And bear in mind, inflation has relationship with lending rate. Inflation has relationship with exchange rate. So all those things will play out to hurt the economy as we go along.
Right, Dean of Cape Coast University Business School, Professor John Gachi there. Let's now come to you, Winston. Is that the summary of the budget?
Yes, basically is it. And we'll be bringing our viewers up to date on what the finance minister said at the House of Parliament. So we'll be looking at some key interventions that were said. So Annie.
Yeah.
So this conversation will definitely be broadened in here.
Right. We will. Okay. We'll let you take us through that briefly. I see 8 million households provided with free electricity. Okay. So these were the COVID-19 interventions. And as Winston also prepared, let me come back to Mr. Paddy to finish up, and then I'll have Mr. Wingobeck also come through.
With this budget, I've seen the unity that is surrounding this budget. For example, where everybody is complaining about why they took out the road tolls, which Ghanaians were ready to pay for it, provided we are going to get value for money.
But interestingly, the one area that Ghanaians were not complaining about was road tolls.
Road tolls, yes. Because they think it's affordable. Then if we are paying and we can get value for money, we don't have a problem with, like you said earlier on, if we can see tangibles for the revenue we are paying, we don't have a problem. But this is the case. Almost every indoor or every project we do in this country is as a result of loan. So where is our money? That's where Ghanaians are asking. If you are going to collect the money from us, the revenue from us, and we see the tangibles, what we have used our revenue for, we'll be ready to pay for more.
The tangibles are servicing our debts.
Oh,
those are the tangibles.
No, but Ghanaians don't see servicing your debt. They don't see it. They want to see the industries. They want to see the manufacturing.
They want to see the current GDP ratio at where it stands. If we weren't servicing our debts, where would we have been?
Oh yes, that's another serious. But I'm happy. Prof has said about the benchmark. He said it all. And then let me read something what the finance minister said. He said the sparing cost of shipping have hit business hard, particularly small and medium scale enterprises. SMEs have had a struggle with the economy fallout from the pandemic, and furthermore, they are now being forced to cope with the rising cost of shipping. This is making the lives of traders and consumers very difficult. That's his quote. Then you move from there. Then let's read another quote. The citizens should be called upon to look beyond their own self-interest and look and work for a great common interest. Our country needs this sacrifice. This budget calls upon the wealthy and the middle class to put through property tax, through streamlined exemption bills, through the removal of benchmark value on selected.
And it's there. Winston, don't say any comments. We understand. Winston will take us
right.
to Mr.
So let's really hit on just some key highlights of what the finance minister said on the budget that was presented earlier today. So you could see that the finance minister said on the interventions that were released during the COVID-19 pandemic, 4.78 million households were provided with free electricity, and also 11 million students and staff were given PPEs, early payment to contractors. Already we understand that last year, most contractors were not able to receive their money that was due them by government. And also not a single worker in the public sector lost their job and were paid in full. That was according to the finance minister. About 300 302,001 beneficiaries received financial assistance of 523.11 million Ghana cedis. All right, so let's move on to some interventions that still came up. 2.8 million people were given hot meals, and 36.8 million Ghana cedis were used as tax exemptions granted to frontline workers. We heard about those that was given to the nurses and doctors who served during the times of the pandemic. 10.1 million households were provided with free water. That was the free water that was given to us during the lockdowns. And also 470,000 families were given food packages.
Right. Okay.
All right. Looking at some of the key things that happened, it said that families lost loved ones during the pandemic, private school teachers lost income for 12 months, business owners lost their earnings, thousands of hospitals and tourism sector workers were laid off, slump in business built around traditional and other social events were also hindered. These were some of the reasons he gave.
All captured. This one I didn't hear.
Yeah, he said
he read all this.
Yeah,
but we know the impact.
Well, let's look at some key performance that he made mention of for 2021. It said that the GDP growth in the first half of 2021 was 3.5%, and also inflation as of October 2021, released by the Ghana Statistical Service, is at 11%. Interest rate on Treasury bill is 12.46%, and also gross international reserve for 4.9 months of import cover at the end of September 2021.
Right. So, Winston, thank you. But let's have Mr. Awingobek also give us his last word before we wrap up. There's more I can tell, but well, this is just the beginning of the analysis. So,
well, Annie, I think that on a lighter note, my colleague, senior brother, Honorable A.B. Fusini said that the finance minister was just coming to give us the funeral announcement to the people of Ghana. And so he has actually done it. For us,
wait, so he has actually done with
the announcement. This is a funeral announcement because look, the vice president is out there encouraging Ghanaians to embrace digitalization now, and cashless society. Now you are asking me if I'm sending 300 Ghana or 200 Ghana a month to my old lady at home, he should be taxed. You are telling me if I'm transferring my money from my account because I have to move to a meeting, I cannot go to my bank and stay in long queues and issue a check before I can get my money. But because the bank app is there, I can easily quickly transfer my money into my mobile money wallet and then use for my transaction and quickly go and come back. You are saying that I'll be taxed here, I'll be taxed there. I strongly believe that is, and then of course the worst scenario is that we are in Christmas, and look, these benchmark values, the budget is for 2022, but it will surprise you that tomorrow morning, my people will start calling me that they'll go to to pay duty, and the ICOM system has been adjusted because the benchmark values has been taken away from us. So certain sensitive, like the professor from Gachi,
Professor Gachi.
Gachi has just said, there are certain commodity, whether you like it or not, it will be imported. People will pay huge duties. Ghanaians will buy at high cost, and we are in Christmas. I don't know who advises the
minister. We'll certainly
on
develop this conversation as we go ahead. Let's get Efia is here with us to give us what is the reaction on social media.
Yes, so we've heard from the finance minister. He calls this one the Ajimpa budget.
No.
Ajimpa budget. Anyway, so but what have Ghanaians got to say about it? Social media is buzzing, and this one says the PR is so good. When you explain to people what's actually happening, they just can't grasp how serious the situation is for the average Ghanaian. And Branches in the Vine says, Sarah Brunide Asembeba. Oh, just look at the budget she endorsed for the finance minister to read to us. Anyway,
that's funny.
And Kim says that Nana Addo Dankwa government has clearly lost the plot. How do you introduce a tax on electronic transactions and turn around to claim you are driving digital inclusion? Extremely desperate and clueless governance on display. Mahama 2024 says a lady should stop send me Momo chorus because the sender will be taxed under this government. And Anifa says, end of the funeral announcement. God bless Ken Oforiatta and Nanado. And think about it, says, obviously 10 times tolls levy. One sprinter full of 32 passengers, one Ghana City toll levy. Literally, e-levy is asking every one person in a bus to pay tolls with the tolls attendants losing their job. So earlier, I think the issue about the toll attendants losing their jobs also came up, but we also do have some more reactions.
It was even for the physically challenged. So what's going to happen?
So what happens to them now? That's a very big question. I Am General says that litany of slogans continues. And Pronto says digitization to e-levy. We all go pay. Right. So I think I've gone through all of these already.
Right.
So those are some of the reactions coming back
right.
Twitter.
Thank you so much. Those are some of your comments that she was able to capture. But Duncan Amoy is still with us via Zoom, I'm told. Duncan, thank you for staying. I know you also went through it. So what will be your closing comments so far? We still have our taxes on petroleum products untouched.
So, Annie, thank you, and good job to your panelists and guests. We had two issues we as a chamber wanted addressed, and like you indicated, one is the high taxes or incidence of taxes on fuel prices that we were looking forward to being addressed.
Okay, okay, well, I think Duncan's video is frozen. Duncan, can you hear me? Okay, rather unfortunate. We'll do just a 1 minute round each.
This rule we should look at it carefully. I've heard one of the MPs saying that, as in the minority, one of the minority MPs saying that the government has introduced fees and charges, or there's a bill which are looking forward to increase fees and charges of government state institutions to 15%. I am temperate to say that maybe these road tolls will be borne out at roadworthy. If you are roadworthy, that you are going to change at DVLA. So we have to monitor and then see what is actually happening. But for the important National Association and our colleagues from Gutta and everything, I'm sure after here we'll definitely meet and then come back with our strategy as to the way we intend to tell government our intention. Right. But consumers should be prepared to pay for higher cost for. So far as Benjamin Ballot is taken off, I strongly believe that we are going to increase price going forward.
When the benchmark was introduced, did we even focus
but
on
we're able to
decreasing
maintain price
prices
over a
at
period
all?
of time.
Oh.
Yeah, but we think government has acted in bad faith because this is the case. You told us we have to have a stakeholder engagement and collaboration as to the way forward. If you need revenue, if you are doing that for purpose of revenue, what should we do? If you are doing that to preserve industry, what should we do? So there should have been a stakeholder engagement and collaboration. Because if Ghana goes well, it goes for all of us. And we have a say. But governance is a stakeholder collaboration. But with this one, government acted in bad faith. We were told we were going to have a stakeholder meeting, and now they've introduced this. But we'll come back again. So we're going to interrogate this budget. And then where we need to make an input, we'll still make an input. And then, but we pray that this doesn't hurt government seriously.
Okay. The final words.
Well, my final words is, I do believe there were and there still are better and creative ways to tax Ghanaians, more sustainable way. Going by this e-taxation alone has literally destroyed everything. I think government property tax was one. When you're talking about the e-commerce taxation you're talking about in the morning, you're not talking about this e-taxation on mobile money. I think the tax on the mobile money should have gone to the mobile money
operators, exactly,
on the charges that they make.
The profit they make at the end of the year.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes.
On the charges they make. Yes. It's different from their normal operation. By adopting mobile money, they've actually entered into the terrain.
A different terrain.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right. I think we didn't get the
Yeah, we need more, breakdown, even how government is going to do the taxing.
And
yeah,
thank you
going
for
forward.
yourself and your colleague
Winston.
for hosting
Winston,
us.
yeah.
Thank
And
you, Winston.
it's
Thank
been
you.
a fruitful
And thank
day.
you to me.
Yes,
We are very grateful.
Yeah, so we've had something. Asaki Awingo here. He represented the Importers and Exporters Association. Professor John Gachi joined us from the University of Cape Coast, Dean for the Business School, and also Emmanuel Amwa Dakwa, who is an economist and also partner at CCAD Global. He's left already. Dr. Alex Ampabing is still here, fiscal policy analyst and also of Oxfam. And of course, we had our own Mr. Paddy, John Paddy here representing Guta, myself, Ania Fampof, and also, of course, my friend.
Winston, thank
Thank you.
I was grateful for your time and
Yes.
thank you for watching. And certainly we'll bring you the breakdown, in-depth analysis of the budget subsequently.
We also had former Minister Setepe join us. Minister for Finance.
Via Zoom,
and of
certainly.
course, Duncan Amwa also joined us. Who else joined us on Zoom?
Setepe.
Setepe, yes, after you left,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes, so yeah, it's been a lot of. All right.
Okay,
Thank you all viewers for being with us. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening to former Member of Parliament for Busa South Constituency, Honorable Awuntirim Atabwade.
And to all the
He
teams
watched
behind the
us from
scenes
Tamale.
who really helped make this happen, we are most grateful.
Right. Thank you.